In this episode, we go to Botswana, where we visit Chobe, Savuti, and Moremi. We start in Chobe during the Impala lambing season. In Chobe, we stayed at Ihaha, which is right on the Chobe River, which forms the border between Namibia and Botswana. The Namibian side is not a reserve, and there are no fences. So you have the interesting phenomenon of domestic cattle mixing with game. At the end of the dry season, much of the game were not in great condition. Away from the river, there was very little grazing left. Here you can see how the impalas have trimmed the lower parts of the bushes. Most of the grazers, like these plains zebras, could be found on the floodplain. Giraffe usually take an awfully long time to actually start drinking and may often abandon the attempt, moving totally away from the water before starting a new cautious approach again. Impala are so ubiquitous that people tend to discount them, but they are quite beautiful. Lambing season had started in anticipation of the onset of the rainy season. For much of the year, baobab trees don't have leaves. Lions had caught this buffalo shortly before our visit. There was very little left, but enough to attract vultures and flies. A herd of hundreds of buffalo were grazing on the floodplain. The lions had other things than hunting buffalo on their minds. The male looked a bit worse for wear. Noticed the open wound. Don't do it! By late afternoon it was still extremely hot, and we found this young leopard which had come for a drink at the river. Following a 47 degrees Celsius day, we decided to relocate to Kasane to find a campsite with a swimming pool. The next day we travelled to Savuti, which is technically also part of the Chobe National Park. The reserve campsites at Savuti are like second-class campsites. You will get them if you did not book early enough to get a regular campsite. Their one benefit is that they are quite close to the ablution blocks. The ablutions at Savuti are built like a fortress, presumably to be elephant-proof. Just look at all that reinforced concrete. And I said it's like a fortress, complete with glacis, but unlike a normal fort, this is on the inside to buttress the wall on the outside to keep the elephants out. You'll also notice that the entrances are made so that they are too narrow for an elephant to enter. The ablutions are quite nice with flush toilets. The showers are quite a nice design with a little shelf on which you can put your soap and shampoo, etc. And very similar to the ablutions at Ihaha, except that at Savuti the lights actually work. We again saw many elephants. It created quite a stir when we found 2 cheetahs stalking an impala. The news that we had found cheetahs spread, and everyone wanted to know the exact location. Like many cheetah stalks, this one ended unsuccessfully, but for an interesting reason. As the cheetahs were resting under a bush, some elephants came past. The cheetahs fled from the elephants. This startled the elephants, who also fled, and in the commotion, the impala also took off. So everyone ended up fleeing from everyone else. As far as we can recall, this is the first time we saw Tsessebe, or at least the first time we knowingly saw Tsessebe. Curry bustards are said to be the heaviest flying bird known. When male curry bustards display, they puff up their necks. Did I mention that we saw many elephants? Roads in Savuti are generally sandy, with some black cotton soil in the marsh area. This is baobab forest, a large stand of baobab trees.
One issue in Savuti, and for that matter Ihaha and Wangi as well, is that road signs are often unreadable.
During the dry season, pump pan waterhole near the Savuti Campsite is quite productive. As it is a reliable source of water, it attracts lots of game. Note the yellow-billed oxpeckers on this giraffe. After 3 nights in Savuti, we went to Khwai Hippo Pools on the northern border of Morami. They were widening the southern access road to Savuti, which was just a 2-spur during our previous visit. One downside of this was that you had to dodge sharp sticks and roots that were ripped up by the machinery used to make the road. This is what the access track looks like where it has not been widened yet. We did not feel like driving over a dead giraffe, so made a slight detour to avoid doing so. The angle grinder sound you hear is made by cicadas. On more than one occasion, one of them used one of our tires to shed its skin. Just before the Mabapi gate, we came across this pride of lions, all insisting to use the same piece of shade. It was very hot. One can call this a sleep of lions rather than a pride of lions. Pools, we could see a storm building which broke just as we arrived in camp. The next day was quite sunny again.
Khwai Hippo Pools.
After 2 days at Khwai Hippo Pools, we relocated to 3rd Bridge in Morami. The Morami Game Reserve protects almost 5,000 square kilometers of the eastern Okavango Delta. The bulk of the reserve is the delta itself, with only about 30% on the mainland. It is one of the few areas of the Okavango Delta you can visit as a self-drive traveler. Because of the availability of permanent water, it attracts a lot of wildlife, and it is also a significant habitat for the endangered African wild dog.
Morami mud reached to the running boards.
Third Bridge was out of action for a long time, but has now been repaired. These are plains zebra, also known as Burchell's zebra. Note the shadow stripe between the dark stripes and that the stripes continue under the belly. Because the delta was not flooded, it was not necessary to use second bridge, which frankly looked a bit rickety. This pregnant steenbok was super chilled. From Third Bridge, we drove to Ghanzi via Maun. The A3 between Maun and Ghanzi was in very good condition, particularly between Sehitwa and Ghanzi.
On the way back, we stayed over at the Symphonia or Symphonia campsite near Ghanzi, which was very, very nice. Everything working, everything neat, very clean ablutions. Quite a modern campsite. Ablutions at Symphonia are very nice and modern, and it's got a very nice shower. The only downside of the campsite is that you're fairly close to the main road, so you can hear traffic, but that does quiet down at night.
From Ghanzi, we returned to Cape Town via Namibia. Although the traveling part of this video series is over, I plan to do 2 more videos. The first will be a discussion of our equipment, what worked, what didn't, what lessons we learned, plus a few tips. The last video will be a full review of the Alucab Generation 3R rooftop tent we used. Do subscribe if you are interested in any of that. Thank you for watching.